Hello, my friends. Story time with Mrs. Beth. Yes, I'm outside by my tree. It's a beautiful night and it is December. A big hello shout out to Kara and Emily who just live down the street, and all my other friends who are listening. I got a great story. This story I have read for many years to many children. It's one of my favorite. Even though I have lots of favorites, it's definitely one of my favorite Christmas ones. The Toy Maker. Let's read it. Alfie wanted to be a toy maker more than anything else in the world. Every day he dreamed he was sitting at the workbench with all the other workers at the toy factory making toys. But Alfie wasn't a toy maker. He was a sweeper. When no one was looking, Alfie would practice making toys. The wheels were never round. Sometimes the parts were back to front or even upside down. A few made funny noises, but Alfie knew that his toys would make children happy. One day, Alfie showed the owner of the factory one of his toys and asked if he could be a toy maker. The owner became angry. "No, you can't be a toy maker," he roared. "Your toys are all wrong. They aren't like the others. A sweeper doesn't know how to make toys right." Oh, that's not very nice. Poor Alfie. Poor Alfie's heart was broken. The other workers made fun of him as he sadly swept the floor. But as soon as they left, he climbed onto a stool with some scraps of wood. Before long, the factory was filled with the cheerful sounds of sawing and hammering. After a few days, the toy makers stopped teasing Alfie. They even told him how pleased they were to find the factory so spanking clean each morning. They didn't know that every night after the little sweeper finished cleaning up, he used each scrap of wood, each leftover piece of cloth, each forgotten nail to make his own toys. And every night he carried them home in a box. One night, as he passed the children's hospital on his way home, Alfie heard a small voice call out to him, "Sir, what do you have in that box?" He looked up and saw a little boy with crutches leaning out the window. "Hello there. These are toys. I'm a toy maker. Would you like to see them?" Alfie carried his box upstairs to a room full of sick children with sad faces. The little boy with crutches was waiting for him. He introduced Alfie to the others. There wasn't a sound as Alfie placed one of his toys in the middle of the room. He turned the key, and right away it twirled around and jumped onto a bed. A few of the children giggled and clapped their hands. Quickly, Alfie lifted another toy out of the box. "This is a hoppin' boom," he said. He smiled as it made its way across the floor. Next came a ring-a-ling-a-ding-a-thing, then a snap and a giggle, and finally a tiny wagon with egg wheels. It made a ping-clang and a sweet melody as it circled the room. Soon every child was laughing and shouting and clapping hands. Before Alfie left, he tucked his new friends in. "I'll be back soon," he promised. After that, he worked even harder making toys. As often as he could, he shared them with the children in the hospital. Every time he saw their happy faces, Alfie knew his toys were right, even if they were different. Very late one snowy night, a man knocked on Alfie's door. The tired little toy maker climbed out of his bed to answer. "Can I help you, sir?" he asked. "Are you Alfie?" the big man asked, and his smile made his eyes crinkle. "I've heard about you and the wonderful toys you make. May I see them?" Alfie invited the man in. He put new wood on the fire so the man could warm his toes, and nervously he brought out his toys. At first the man didn't say anything. Then he picked up a toy and set it in motion. Soon many toys were hopping and clanging around the room. One even jumped into the man's lap, as if it belonged there. His eyebrows rose higher and higher. Finally he spoke. "These toys are wonderful," he said in a deep, friendly voice. "Why do you keep them hidden away?" Alfie told him about the factory, about the angry owner, and about the toy makers who laughed at him. And especially Alfie told him about the children at the hospital. The man got up and walked around the room. He stroked his beard thoughtfully. "Alfie, I also have a toy factory," he said. "And my toy makers know how to make children happy with their toys, as you do. I would like you to work for me. But think about it carefully, Alfie. It's far away, and you won't be able to see your friends in the hospital ever again." Alfie looked up at the kind man. He liked the big man with the twinkle in his eyes. He would miss the children, but he could still make them happy with his toys. He took only a few minutes to decide. Alfie wanted to be a toy maker more than anything else in the world. He hustled and bustled to pack all his things. He wrote happily to the owner and the workers at the toy factory to tell them that he was no longer a sleeper, but he was going to be a real toy maker. And he wrote sadly to his friends at the hospital to tell them that he was going away so he could make more toys for them and for other children too. Then he pulled out his coat and his warm woolen hat and picked up his cat, and without looking back, he marched out into the cold winter night. Guess what he saw? Just outside the door, Alfie stopped so suddenly that he almost fell backwards. He stared. He couldn't believe his eyes. There before him stood 8 reindeer and a beautiful sleigh. That kind man, guess who he was? Smiling, the man said, "Hurry, my reindeer are getting impatient." Alfie smiled a big happy smile and climbed in beside the man. And from that day to this, Alfie's toys have been making children happy everywhere. What a sweet story. Alfie was such a great toy maker, and he made those children happy in the hospital with all his crazy toys he made. Even though they were different, they were great, made them happy. And you know what? He got to go to Santa's workshop. How cool is that? Anyway, friends, have a great Christmas. See you next time.